Hello everyone, and welcome to the second episode of Shop Talk. My name is Mike. It's been a week since my last shop update, so I wanted to take a moment to let you all know what's been going on in my workshop. If you watched my last post, you'll know that I finally completed my shop dust collection system. Well, for the most part I did. In that video, I talked about how I was upgrading from my former single horsepower, single stage unit to the Harbor Freight 2 horsepower unit combined with Super Dust Deputy from Oneida Air Systems to form a 2-stage dust collection system for the entire workshop. Now I can say that I'm definitely going to be very pleased with this new system. However, I did run into a few kinks and some things that I'm going to have to make adjustments on. In that video I talked about incorporating a floating shelf just below the cyclone unit and then a piece of flex line down to the barrel. Ultimately, I nixed that idea, and unfortunately I ran into some problems as a result. So I should have stuck with that original intent. The problem that I ran into was I have 4-inch rigid sewer duct that comes down out of the attic space and ties into the cyclone unit. That hard rigid connection didn't provide me the flexibility that I really needed in order to be able to disconnect the lid from the barrel and pull the barrel out from underneath to be able to dump the sawdust. And after just a few operations of that, it broke that connection tying into the rigid duct. So I definitely have to regroup that plan and possibly go back to my original plan of the floating shelf. Shop projects. I mentioned a few shop projects that I have planned in the last video. I wanted to go into a little more detail of what I'm hoping to do. So in this space just to my left, I have above my future CNC station, I've got some space on the back wall. And I've got some material to add some additional overhead cabinet storage in that space. In addition, I've got some shop storage solutions that I'd like to consider doing. So for the past year or so, my wife's been collecting these containers, and I thought that they would really come in handy as either for some part storage or hardware, something of that nature. And this one, as you can see, I've got dominoes, and I've got a number of them stored up in this cabinet behind me. So one project that I'd like to do is design a cabinet just dedicated for those bins, maybe something that mounts on a wall somewhere that is easy to access, but I can free up this shelving space in the cabinet behind me. Another storage solution that I have to work on is over here on my hand tool workbench. I've got some little gray parts containers that are stackable, and unfortunately they kind of move around. And so I've seen on YouTube where a gentleman took those and built a nice little cabinet with some sliding doors to keep the dust and things out of those bins, so I'm considering building that as well. I mentioned previously that just below this chop saw station I've been designing a bank of drawers, and so I've got 6 drawers that I need to build for that, as well as some inner trays to go in the drawers over on this workbench behind me. I've got a number of sheets of the foam that I removed from the floor in my previous shop, and I'm hoping to use that to kind of shadow my hand tools in those drawers. I've considered building a cabinet similar to one I'd seen Nick Ferry build, where the cabinet slides out and you mount all of your cordless drills and drivers and that sort of thing. But I'm not sure that I'm going to have enough wall space for that, and so I may need to go back to my original storage for those, which was basically a floating shelf on the wall that you could just kind of hang those drills and drivers on. Lastly, just general shop cleanup. I really need to do some work around the shop, picking up things that are on the floor that haven't quite found their home since moving in and that sort of thing. So a lot of work to be done, a lot of storage solutions and organization projects still to be done, and so I'm really excited about that. I'm looking forward to finally completely wrapping up my dust collection so that I can really get moving on these other projects. One other thing that I failed to mention was on Nick Ferry's channel, I watched a video where Nick had developed some really nice and attractive drawer pulls and cabinet handles. And so even though I had purchased some pulls similar to those on my assembly table, I really wanted to incorporate Nick's design in these cabinets. I purchased some 1/2" EMT as well as some 1/2" CPVC to do that. And so that's another project. I need to build pulls for all of these drawers on the existing cabinet, as well as the bank of drawers that I'm going to be building, as well as handles for these upper cabinets and the cabinets that I intend to build on this other wall behind me. Moving away from the shop and into our house, we have some storage solutions that I'd like to address in there as well. Now, we've just been in the house for about 5 months, and so we're really just getting settled in. There's one particular room that is going to double as both a school room for our children as well as a playroom. Now, as you can imagine, in any playroom there are always needs for storage solutions. So we've looked at some ideas from IKEA, but unfortunately we don't have an IKEA store anywhere near where we live. So I've considered either purchasing those or possibly just purchasing the bins, the storage bins themselves, and building the units here in my shop. So I've been kind of tossing around some ideas there. Now, the last thing I wanted to talk about was branding. I've watched a number of videos on YouTube, both from the working community as well as on the Creative Academy that YouTube publishes on branding your channel. So since this is new to me, I'm still kind of developing ideas for this channel, how I can promote it and how I can brand it. And so far I haven't really come up with a bunch of great ideas. So I'd like to solicit some ideas from you, the viewers. If you have some ideas for how I could brand this channel or how I could promote this channel, I'd be open to your comments and suggestions below. So, as always, I really appreciate your time. Stay tuned for some future updates and future project videos. Until next time, thanks for watching.